Hi my friends, welcome to the channel English Professionally, and we are going to talk about very important English prepositions: on, at, in, by and for. So really, the question is, when should we use on, it, at, by or for? And the thing is that you just need to know these phrases. So if you know these phrases, it will help you to speak English correctly and fluently. Okay, so really, when do we use on? So we use on with, so if you have a look at this table, so you see on Monday. For example, I can say, let's meet on Monday, yeah? So let's meet. Okay, let me type it for you. So let's meet on Monday. Let's meet on Monday, yeah? Or Tuesday, on Tuesday. Let's meet on Tuesday. On Wednesday, on Thursday, on Friday, on Saturday, on Sunday. So it's very easy to remember that you use on with days of the week. Days of the week, yeah? So, or it can be, for example, on Monday morning, yeah? So, let's meet on Monday, on Tuesday, or let's meet on Monday morning, or maybe on Monday evening. So, it's about a certain day, or maybe on Christmas Day, For example, let's go there on Christmas Day. Let's go there on Christmas Day. So you might think that we need to say at Christmas, and actually it's absolutely right. So we say, so if you have a look at, we say at Christmas, but on Christmas Day. Please remember these rules. So let's go there on Christmas Day or at Christmas. Please don't confuse these two different prepositions. So at Christmas or on Christmas Day. Okay, so next, or on Saturday night. Okay, talking about a certain date, you also need to use on. For example, yeah, so it's the date of my birthday, and you also need to read it correctly, to pronounce it correctly. So you see that it's April 26, but we pronounce it another way. Okay, let me explain it to you. So, for example, yeah, so my date of birth, yeah, so is April 26. So, but when you say that you were born on a certain date or day, so you say, I was born, then you need to put on there, then this date on the 26th, so it's in my case, on the 26th of April in 1986. So please remember this structure. I was born on the. So then you say 26, maybe 21st, 22nd of. Then you need to actually to talk about a month, April, May, December, and a year. But you put in before a year. So I can ask you, so when were you born? So when were you born? When were you born? When were you born? Were you born? Or tell me your date of birth. Tell me your date of birth. And you need to say, yeah, so I was born maybe on the 1st of April, on the 1st of May in maybe 1973, something like that. So please write about it in the comments below, really. When were you born? So I know that many students so make lots of mistakes here, yeah, and mispronounce. So they forget to use on, there, or they forget to use th, but you know that there are exceptions. First, second, and third. Yeah, please revise these rules of April. Okay, what is next? So on that day, and two more very common expressions: on holiday, on holiday. For example, he isn't available, he is on holiday. He isn't available. He isn't available. He is on holiday. He isn't available. He is on holiday. Yeah. So if you walk somewhere, so use on foot. For example, I went there on foot. It means that you walked towards a certain place, so you didn't use actually a car, you didn't drive a car, you didn't go there by car, by bus, or something like that. So I went there on foot. So you were walking on foot. Good, very good. Okay, what about in? We say in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. So, for example, I usually do it in the evening. I usually do it in the evening, or you can say that I usually learn English in the morning, in the evening, and during the day. So maybe in the afternoon, yeah? So I usually learn English in the morning, in the evening, and during the day. Okay, then in spring, in summer, in autumn, yeah, and in winter, of course, yeah. But you know, sometimes students ask me, so which one is correct? In spring or in the spring? In the spring, okay? So which one is correct? And the fact is that you can say in spring or in the spring. So you know that most people go on holiday in summer. So you see, most people go on holiday. Most people go on holiday in summer or in the summer. You know that I mostly meet in summer, but in the summer is also okay. So you know that we have already talked about it. So on holiday. So most people go on holiday in summer. Okay, good. So in an hour, for example, I'll be back in an hour. I'll be back in an hour or after an hour. So this hour will pass and then I'll be back. I'll be back in an hour, or I'll be back in a minute. I'll be back in a minute, okay? I'll be back in a second. I'll be back, so maybe in a couple of minutes. In a couple of minutes means in 2 minutes. So these phrases are very natural, yeah, in our conversation. So I'll be back in an hour, in a minute, in a second, in a couple of minutes. Good. So next, so with years, so I was born, for example, in 1986, or it happened in 1999 or so, and in the 21st century, maybe in the 19th century, and so on. Okay, what about at? We use it with time. For example, I got up at 5 o'clock. Yeah? I got up at 5 o'clock. At 5 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, it's so early. At 5 o'clock, at 6 o'clock, at 7 o'clock, and so on. Yeah, good. So we also say at night, at midnight. So you remember that we say at Christmas, but on Christmas Day, at the weekend. So at the weekend, at the moment, I'm very busy at the moment. I'm very busy at the moment, unfortunately. So you can say unfortunately. Unfortunately, it means it's a pity. It's a real pity. I'm very busy. I'm very busy at the moment. I'm very busy at the moment. Or at the weekend, we can discuss, or we can discuss it at the weekend. We can discuss it at the weekend. We can discuss it at the weekend. So maybe on Saturday, maybe on Sunday. at Easter, you know, it's the greatest religious holiday in Christianity at the moment. At that time, so talking about the past, you can say that at that time I didn't understand that. At that time I didn't understand that. Okay, let me just give you this example. So at that time I didn't understand that. That time I didn't understand that. So home, at home, you know, these expressions are very common. So I'm at home, okay, I'm at work, and you also need to remember I'm at the airport, I'm at the airport. These expressions are very common. So what about by and for? So I know that students often confuse by. So if you go to a certain place, you can say that I went there by car. So I went there by car. I went there by car, by bus. So you see, without any articles, I went there by car, by bus. Okay, so you see that you can also say by train, by sea, by air. For example, I can ask you, do you like traveling by car? Do you like traveling by car? Do you like traveling? Do you like traveling by car? Do you like traveling by car? So yeah, you can say, yes, I really like it. So do you like traveling by sea? So please remember these prepositions, yeah? So, but in fact, so you can say that in a car, we say in a car. So if you use it with an article, for example, you say in a car, so, and on a bus, on a train, yeah, you need to remember it. So on the bus, or on the bus, on the train, and in a car. For example, when you're talking about a person's location. So he's in the car, he's in the car, he's on the bus, he's on the bus, he's on the bus. We mostly hear these things. But talking about general things, you see by car, by bus, by train, by sea, about sending some things, about traveling, and so on. Then, so we use by with passive voice when the action was done by someone. For example, the book was written by him. So the book was written by him or by her. By her, we use it with passive voice. Passive voice. By. It means that he wrote the book or she wrote the book. So it's very common with passive voice. And then you also need to remember these expressions by mistake. So I made it by mistake. It means that I wasn't going to do it. Or by chance, by accident. So I met my friend by accident. Or by chance or accidentally. So I wasn't going to meet him, and so you see it. Okay, what about for? We often use for with, for example, for a week, for and now, for a year. So you know that there is one very widespread phrase. So I've been learning English for 2 years. Yeah. So you say. So, or you can hear this kind of question: how long have you been learning English? How long have you been learning English? And you can hear, I've been learning English for, or for a year, for 2 years, for 2 years, for 3 years, for 3 months, and so on. So it means like, you know, during. And also for breakfast. For example, what did you eat for breakfast? What did you eat for lunch? What did you eat for dinner? And one more very popular phrase or expression, for a walk. For a walk. Let's go for a walk. Let's go for a walk. Let's go for a walk. It means let's go out. Let's go out. I have a dog, and you know that I often go for a walk, yeah, with my dog. So let's go for a walk, or I can tell my friend, yeah, let's go for a walk, let's go for a walk, let's go out. So I just, I need to go out, I need to breathe fresh air. Okay, so I find this information extremely useful. So you can spread this information with your friends, you can put a like, yeah, and you just need to remember these phrases to speak English more correctly and more naturally. Okay, thanks a lot, my friends, for your support. Thanks a lot. And I think that you really like the idea of this video and this video itself. Thank you very much, my friend. Thank you. Hi, my friends. Welcome to the channel English Professionally. And this video is key to English prepositions. Really, I believe it's the most important video about English prepositions. And basically, you just need to know, some phrases with prepositions and some rules. We're going to talk about them at the end of our presentation too. Some patterns. Okay, so at. Please, my friend, remember, we say at home, at work, at school, at the airport, at university. Then, so different phrases with o'clock, for example, at 5 o'clock, at 6 o'clock, at 7 o'clock, and so on. Okay, next. At night, at noon, at midnight, at midday. You know, there are other very important phrases with at, and we need to know them. The thing is that we don't have enough space here, but no problem, we have the second part because it's a full version. So the second part, so phrases with at. So we say at the weekend in British English, but on the weekend in American English. At the station, at the top, at the bottom, at the end of something, and at the beginning of something. For example, at the end of the book, at the beginning of the book. If it's without of, so we don't have of, we say in the beginning and in the end, so you need to remember it. Next, at the party, at the moment. So, and we also say at Easter, at New Year, and at Christmas. Remember, at Easter, at New Year, and at Christmas. There is one very important rule. If you add day after these holidays, you use on. Like here, look. So we say on Christmas Day, because you see day, but at Christmas. On New Year's Day, but at New Year. So, at Easter, but on Easter Day, because of this day. It's a rule, it's English grammar, and you need to remember it, okay? I hope that's clear. Okay, let's talk about in. So, we say in the morning, in the evening, in the afternoon. Then we use in with years. For example, in 1978, in 1999, so in 2015, and so on. So with years. We also use in with months. So in March, in February, in December, in April, in July, and so on. We also use in with seasons. Students often ask me, how should we say in spring or in the spring? And the answer is very simple. It's correct to say in the spring and in spring. It's also correct. So I mostly meet without that. So in spring, in summer, in autumn, in winter. But in there, with seasons is also possible. Okay, so next, phrases like this one. In the 1980s, so in the 1970s, in the 1990s, and so on. Good. What about on? So we use on with days of the week or with weekdays. For example, on Mondays, yeah, on Tuesdays, on Wednesdays, on Thursdays, on Fridays, on Saturdays, on Sundays. So we say on the weekend in American English. You know that we talked about it. So we say so at the weekend in British English and on the weekend in American English. So that's the main difference. All right. So we also say on, we also use on with, for example, on Monday morning, on Tuesday morning, on Wednesday morning, and so on. And that's also true about evening. So on Wednesday evening, on Thursday evening, on Friday evening, on Saturday evening. So you need to have this combination. So day of the week and morning or evening. So next, on my birthday. Yeah, and so we don't need on here, and we also actually don't need on here, but that's clear, yeah? So on my birthday. Say on my birthday. Why on? Because of the day. On my birthday. On holiday. So it's the same story like day, yeah? On holiday. So you know that we say holiday in British English and we mostly meet on vacation in American English. So that's the difference between British English and American English. Okay, so we mostly meet on time. So we mostly meet this preposition with time. Yeah. So what about Christmas Day and New Year's Day? So you see it with on because of the day. On Christmas Day, on New Year's Day, like here on Easter Day. But if you don't have day, so you need to say at Easter, at New Year, at Christmas. Good, very good. Then we use on with dates. For example, you see on the 11th of May. How do we pronounce it? How do we pronounce it really? On the 11th of May, on the 12th of May, on the 13th of May, on the 14th of May, and so on. So many students mispronounce it. So yeah, so if you try to pronounce everything correctly, so for example, I can say that I was born on the 26th of April. So don't forget to use of on the 26th of April. And really, when were you born? You can write, I was born on the 1st of December. I was born on the 2nd of February. I was born on the 3rd of March. I was born on the 11th of, of July. I was born on the 25th of August, and so on. Okay, good, very good. But we also need to look at the second part. Yeah, we forgot to do it with in, so let's do it with in and on, and we'll have a look at by and for after that. So in, let's continue. So we say in a minute or in a second. For example, I'll be back in a minute. I'll be back in a second. Or you can also say I'll be back in 2 minutes, in 10 minutes, in 15 minutes. It's also okay. Okay, so we also say in an hour, in 2 hours, in 3 hours, so talking about the future. For example, she'll be back in 2 hours. Okay, next, in 2 days, in 3 days, so good. So you can also hear, so in 5 months, in 2 years. Yeah, so what will be in 2 years, no one knows, for example. Okay, other phrases with in bed, in hospital, in prison, in the street, in the middle. So in the picture, it's a very important phrase. For example, when you want to describe a certain picture or a photo, so more students use this phrase incorrectly. Remember, in the picture, in the photo. For example, what do you see in the photo? What do you see in the picture? Only in. Then, in the beginning and in the end. but at the end of something, at the beginning of something. In the library. Yeah, and some more phrases with on. So on the bus, on the plane, on the ship, on the boat, on the train, on the phone, on TV, or on television, so but we mostly hear on TV, it's a short form, on the radio, on New Year's Eve, on Easter Day, on the right, on the left, on foot. These phrases are very important. So often, students often actually misunderstand this phrase on foot. So how do you usually get to work? So you need to say, for example, on foot, on foot. It means that you walk to work. So with your legs. Okay, right. So what about by? So we say by car. So when we travel somewhere, we say, for example, how do you prefer to travel? By car. So the fundamental difference is that after by, you don't use a preposition, and you say by car, by train, by ship, by plane, by sea, by air, by land. But of course, if you are going to use, an article, if you're going to use an article, it's another preposition. For example, in a car, so on the train, on the ship, on the plane, so I can swim in the sea, and so on. I mean that, so if you don't have an article, here use by. So if you have an article, like here, so you say on the bus, on the plane, on the ship, on the boat, on the train, but in a car. In a car, you need to remember, in a car. In a car. If it's without a, so you say by car. So by underground, so you know that we also use by with passive voice. For example, by him, by her, the book was written by him. It means that he wrote the book. The book was written by him. By tomorrow, so talking about deadline. Talking about your deadline, for example. So when do you need to finish it? By tomorrow. It means that, so not later than tomorrow, not later than tomorrow. So today is the last day, by tomorrow. Or, for example, let's continue, by next week, by next month, by next year. For example, I need to reach a strong advanced level in English, or a strong advanced English level by next month, by next year. Okay, and we also have very useful phrases with for a walk. So you can go for a walk, do like going for a walk, for a change. For example, we need maybe to record, a video lesson about articles, for a change. So if you want to change something for an hour, so I can't say that I've been recording this lesson for an hour, it's much shorter. For 2 days, so he was away, for example, for 2 days, for 3 weeks, for 2 months, for 5 years. So I have been learning English for 5 years. You note that we often use for with present perfect continuous. Okay, and I think maybe you don't actually see it well, no problem. So I'll make it smaller for you. So by underground, by him here, by tomorrow, and for breakfast, so for lunch, for breakfast, for lunch, and for dinner. For breakfast, for lunch, and for dinner. So for example, what did you have for breakfast? What do you usually have for dinner? What do you usually have for lunch? And so on. And sometimes you also meet supper. So dinner and supper. Alright, so it's a very important thing. So basically, you need to know these actually most important cases. So when we use prepositions, but that's not all. There is one more very important and maybe the most important thing. Really, I don't understand why other people don't talk about it. So my aim is to help you is to help you understand how to learn English. So really, the first step is that you need to know just these basic phrases, and you need to understand, for example, that in means inside, on, just on the surface, for example, by, so we often use with passive voice, and other cases, is the first step. But there are other steps, my friends, too. You also need actually to know about 5 more steps if you really want to be successful in learning prepositions, or if you really want to succeed so in learning English prepositions and using them effectively in your English conversation. So you need to know different prepositional phrases. Different prepositional phrases, you need to know them, you need to memorize them by heart, and start with most common ones. For example, at once means immediately, in doubt means I'm not sure, on the whole, in general, by mistake, so it happened accidentally or it wasn't going to happen, for a walk. Yeah, we talked about it, so we can say walk or go for a walk. So you need to pay attention to these prepositional phrases. Secondly, you need to pay attention to prepositions with adjectives. For example, good at. I'm good at English. Interested in. I'm interested in foreign languages. Keen on. I'm keen on music. Then, surprised by or at, you know that we can use surprised with by or at. So, I'm really surprised by your ability to record, so many lessons of supreme quality. Supreme, it means very, very high quality. Verb. So prepositions with verbs, like smile at, so she smiled at me. Succeed in. So I succeeded in learning English in a couple of years. So insist on. I insisted on it. So I told someone to do it and it happened. Abide by. For example, we need to abide by the rules. We need to abide by the rules. We need to follow the rules. Like wait for me. Then nouns plus prepositions. Like look at, it can be a verb, or it can be a noun. So let's have a look at the previous slides. Let's have a look at it. Interest in. So your interest in, in this thing is difficult to explain. Attack on. So there was a sudden attack on those troops, yeah. So reason for. So what's the reason for doing it? Reason for. And the most important thing. So not maybe the most, but one of the most important thing about phrasal verbs. It's about phrasal verbs. So really, there are lots of verbs with prepositions, and we call them phrasal verbs, and they have these verbs a special meaning, and you also need to know them. Like get at can mean suggest. What are you getting at? What are you suggesting? Take in, like deceive. He was taken in. He was deceived. It means that he got into trouble. Put on. So he put on warm clothes. So he had them on his body. Go by. So time goes by. It means time passes. Look for. What are you looking for? What are you trying to find? So to sum up, my friend, please also pay attention to prepositional phrases and prepositions with different parts of speech, so such as adjectives, verbs, nouns, and my friend, don't forget about phrasal verbs too. It's also a very important part of English grammar. So really it's the key to English prepositions. So you need to understand these things, what you need to learn. My aim is to help you understand what's going on in reality. So not only these phrases with time, prepositions of time, place, not only this, but these things too. Yeah? And actually, it doesn't lie on the surface, but it's of great importance, and this fact is undeniable. We can't deny this fact. Thank you very much, my friends, and I wish you good luck. See you. Bye-bye. Hi, my friends. Welcome to the channel English Professionally. And I know that lots of students have lots of problems, yeah, with English prepositions. So, and this video is for you. English prepositions with verbs. And basically, you just need to know this information, yeah, I think so, yeah, to speak English correctly and fluently, yeah, if it comes to these kind of prepositions. Alright? Good. So, you see, so if you have a verb, differ, we use it with from. For example, his opinion differs from mine. So let me type it for you. I think you don't mind it, okay? So his opinion differs from mine. Or from my opinion. It means that his opinion is different from mine or differ. So differ is a verb here. So his opinion differs from mine. Or for example, his style of teaching English differs from mine. So good, that's clear. So let's talk about for and the verbs which we need to use with for. So remember, my friend, wait for. For example, wait for me. Okay? Others don't know, but students often forget about for. Wait for me, okay? Or you can say, for example, I'm waiting for your next lessons with impatience. I'm waiting. So it's present continuous. For your next lessons with impatience. So what is impatience? It means that you can't wait, you're so impatient, so you don't have patience. Yeah? So with impatience, I'm waiting for your next lessons with impatience. Okay, my friend, very good. Well, so what about blame? So yeah, it's rather difficult. So we mostly say blame for, but of course there are exceptions. So blame for. So I blame her for it. I blame her for it. And you need to remember this structure. So blame someone for something. Blame someone for something. I blame her for it. But no, my friend, there is another structure. So when we say blame something on someone, so blame something on someone. Alright? And so I will say it this way. I blame it on her. I blame it on her. Compare, my friend. So you see, blame her for it because it's the first structure. Blame someone for something. And I blame it on her. So we have on because it's the second structure. Blame something or blame it on her. Yeah, it's a very tricky question indeed, but anyway, just try to memorize it. Okay, so prepare for. Yeah, it's a very common verb. Okay, so I'm preparing for this test, for example. Okay, good. So I am preparing for this test, or not test, or for this exam. It's also possible. Yeah, I'm preparing for this test or for this exam. Okay, very good. Or pay for. For example, don't worry, I'll pay for you. Okay, so don't worry, be happy, right? So don't worry, I'll pay for you. I'll pay for you. Really? How often do you pay for other people? It's interesting to know that. So don't worry, I'll pay for you. Okay, just let's revise it shortly. So his opinion differs from mine. Wait for me. Good. I'm waiting for your next lessons with impatience. So blame someone for something. I blame her for it. And blame something on someone. I blame it on her. So I'm preparing for this test, I'm preparing for this exam. So don't worry, I'll pay for you. So next, listen to, yeah, listen to. Yeah, listen to me, listen to me. Listen to me. Or I'd like to ask you this question. Do you like listening to music? Do you like listening to music? Really, do you like listening to music? Belong to and lead to. Okay. So this house belongs to me. So if I say this house belongs to me, it means it's my house. It's my house. Or I own. I own. So you know that actually own is a verb too. So I own. I own this house. It belongs to me. So we say belong to. Yeah? Good. And lead to. Right. For example, it can lead to a very bad situation. It can lead to a very bad situation. So it means that it can happen soon. A very bad situation. Lead to. So a very bad situation will be this result. Well, so what's next? Of. So we say approve of or disapprove of. For example, I approve of this decision. I approve of this decision. Or you can say I disapprove. So I approve of this decision. It means, yeah, okay, it's normal. So if you say I disapprove of this idea, it means that you don't like it. So it isn't okay for you. Okay, I disapprove of this idea. Next, accuse of. Alright, so he was accused of murder. He was accused of murder. It means that other people, yeah, other people said that he had killed someone. So accused of murder. He was accused. Other people accused him. So said some very negative, yeah, things connected with crime. So he was accused of murder. So other people said that he had killed someone. Yeah, it's terrible. So it's a very negative verb. Yeah. So criminals, so are often accused. So we accuse criminals. So people who committed a crime. So he was accused of murder. So it's passive voice. So consist of. Okay. So the book consists of 4 chapters. The book consists of 4 chapters. It means there are 4 chapters in the book. Or the book has 4 chapters, so consists of. Okay, let's revise it shortly. So listen to me. Do you like listening to music? This house belongs to me. So it's my house. I own this house. It can lead to a very bad situation. I approve of this decision. Or I disapprove of this idea. He was accused of murder. The books, yeah, so consists, if it's one book, yeah, so the book, one book. So if the book consists of 4 chapters, it's a very important thing, yeah. So if you have many books, yeah, you need to correct it. So the books consist. So but I think that we are talking about one book, so the book consists of 4 chapters, yeah. So please be careful, my friend. Okay, the book consists of 4 chapters. Good. So what else do we need to say? Yeah, a few words about on. So it says spend on. I don't know, but students often use this verb incorrectly. So I often hear this thing. I spent, or you know, I spent so much time for English. I spend so much time for English, or I spend so much money for English. But my friend, you need to remember, say spend on, and you need to say I spend so much time on English, or I spend so much money on it. Spend on, it's a very common mistake. Blame on, so we have already talked about it. So sometimes we use blame for and blame on. So it depends on a structure. Congratulate on, really, my friends, a very common verb. So I'd like to congratulate you on passing the exam, for example. Okay, I'd like to congratulate you on something, or on doing something, on passing the exam. Okay, I think it's better, on passing the exam. Okay, I'd like to congratulate you on passing the exam, on doing something or on something. Okay, so successfully, of course. Yeah, good. I'd like to congratulate you on passing the exam. Well, depend on. So students make lots of mistakes, yes, related to this verb. So they say it depends, and they forget to use, on. But you need to use it depends on me, it depends on me, it depends on you. So I just don't know, but students always say, or almost always say from. It's incorrect. Only on. It depends on me, it depends on you. Yeah, so it's in your hands. Yeah, so for example, I can say your success depends on you. So it's in your hands. So you determine your future. So depend on. Good. And succeed in. So a very important verb too. For example, I succeeded in persuading her. I succeeded, so double, don't remember, double C, I succeeded in doing something, in persuading her. It means I managed to persuade her, Maybe it was difficult, but I did it anyway. So I succeeded in doing it. So I managed, I really persuaded her. So maybe she had another opinion, but so I had a talk with her, I had a conversation, and she changed her opinion, yes, and she decided to do what was interesting for me, yeah? Good. So I succeeded in persuading her. So succeeded in, my friend, remember it. So what about arrive? Yeah, arrive, yeah? It's also a very tricky verb. So we say arrive in. So I arrived in, for example, I arrived in London. So, or I arrived in, India. I arrived in India. So if it's a big place or if it's a big city, we use arrive in. If it's a small place, like at the airport, I arrived at the airport. So you need to use at the airport. I arrived at the party. So I arrived at the conference. So if it's a small place, we use at. And remember these phrases: arrive at the airport, arrive at the party, conference, yeah? If it's about a city or a town, you need to use arrive in. Okay, good. So I arrived in London, I arrived in India. Yeah, and one more very important preposition, yeah? Yeah, I think that it should be much bigger, yeah, like this one at least. So into. We need to say translate into, from into. So I translated it. I translated it into Spanish. Sí, hablo español. Perfectamente bien, sí. Yes, I speak English. Yeah, really well. Yeah, not perfectly, but bien, muy bien. Gracias, amigos. Thank you, my friends. So I translated it into Spanish. So as you know, estudié el español en mi escuela. So actually, I studied Spanish at school. Yeah. Good. So I translated it into Spanish. So into. Or you can say, for example, I translated it from one language into another. From English. I translated it from English into Spanish. So remember, many students say in but not in. So actually it's a common rule, into. I translated it from English into Spanish, from Spanish into English, from Russian into English, and so on, from French into English, and so on, really. Okay, just let's revise it shortly. So spend so much time on English. Why not? So it's a good idea. I'd like to congratulate you on passing the exam. It depends on me, on you. I succeeded in persuading her. I arrived in London in India. I arrived at the airport, at the party, at the conference. I translated it from English into Spanish. And really, how often do you translate from your language or from your mother tongue into English? So you know that it's a very good speaking practice. So you need to do it, yeah, if you really want to start thinking in English. Okay, my friend, keep this information in mind if you want to speak English fluently and correctly. And I wish you good luck. Bye-bye. Hi, my friends. Welcome to the channel English Professionally. And I think you have lots of questions about at, in, on, by, for, and so on. Actually, we need to know these prepositions and prepositional phrases. You just need to know these words, these expressions, and it will help you a lot to speak English correctly and fluently. Okay, let's have a look at the first preposition. So you see at, and we say at with first. At first. For example, yeah, I prepared very useful examples, especially for you. At first, I'd like to thank you. At first means firstly. I'd like to thank you. At last. She did it at last, or in the end. So I really wanted it to happen. At least. I want to earn at least $2,000 monthly. At least means minimum, not less than this sum of money. So $2,000 or more every month. Why not? So it's a good idea. At risk. Your life is at risks. So it's a dangerous situation. So something can happen to her. At a loss. I'm at a loss. So if you say I'm at a loss, it means that you don't know what to do. So I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. So really, I'm at a loss. I'm at a loss. Remember this expression. At first sight. Do you believe in love at first sight? So when you see a person and you understand, yeah, really, he or she is my second half. At hand. It's at hand. For example, the pen is at hand. So at hand means near. So it's near. Yeah, it's at hand. Next. At home. Right. We say at home, at work. Please remember these phrases. My father is at home, or I can also say my father is at work. Okay, so once, at once. So it's a very useful expression indeed. I need to do it at once. At once means immediately. So I need to do it immediately, or I need to do it as soon as possible. I need to do it at once. Okay, just let's revise everything shortly. Okay, good. So, at first, I'd like to thank you. Really, I'd like to thank you, my friends, for your support. She did it at last. I want to earn at least $2,000 monthly. Your life is at risk. I'm at a loss. Do you believe in love at first sight? It's at hand. My father is at home. My father is at work. I need to do it at once. Okay, so let's have a look at the second column. So in, we say in a hurry. So when you're busy, when you're very busy, you can say I'm in a hurry. I'm in a hurry. So I'm very busy. I don't have free time. I have no free time at all. I'm so busy. I'm in a hurry. Okay, hurry up. In addition. So it's a very common expression, especially in speaking. So in addition or in addition to it, we need to do the following. So it means that I want to add something. So I want to say one more thing, or I want to add one more thing, yeah, that we need to do the following. In any case. In any case. So I have to sign this contract in any case. So I have no choice, and I have to do it. Maybe this situation isn't so pleasant for me, but I need to do it. I have to do it. So I have no choice. So in any case. In short, it was a disaster. Or I can say I want to be short, or shortly, it was a disaster. So I'm not going to actually to talk about it for hours, months, years. I just want to tell you this thing shortly. So it was a disaster. It was a very bad situation. So it was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. Okay. So I can say in short or in brief. So the thing is that in short is more common. Anyway, in brief can also take place, and it's suitable mostly for, students actually who have a high level. So in brief. So I would say it's a more advanced structure. So in brief, I learn English by myself. So in short or in brief, it's more or less the same. In brief, I learn English by myself. So I want to be brief or briefly speaking, shortly speaking, in short. Yeah, it's all the same. Okay, in cash, right? We say in cash. So I'll pay in cash. Or I can ask you, can I pay in cash? Can I pay in cash? I'll pay in cash. Yeah? So not by credit card. So we say by credit card, but in cash. So please remember this very useful expression. In doubt. Yeah, but before it, yeah, what do we have before it? So detail, in detail. Okay? So I will tell you about it in detail. In detail means that I'm going to give you lots of details, not shortly, but it's going to be a very informative talk, story, or conversation. So something which is full of information. So I will tell you about it in detail. So which is full of lots of details. Yeah, in detail. Okay, next, in doubt. Okay, so I'm in doubt. So it means that I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. So I'm in doubt. I'm not sure at all. Yeah. For example, so I can think, yeah, maybe this method is good. Maybe that method is good. I don't know what to do. So I'm in doubt. In fact, we say in fact. So in fact, it isn't so, or in reality, it isn't so. Okay. So maybe you think that learning English by yourself is impossible. In fact, it isn't so. It's possible, you can do it, and these video lessons are for you. Okay, so different phrases or expressions with on. We say on time. So you see, do you always come there on time? Yeah, but we need to revise it shortly, yeah? We always do it, yeah, for more progress. Okay, just let's do it. I'm in a hurry. In addition to it, we need to do the following. I have to sign this contract in any case. In short, it was a disaster. In brief, I learned English by myself. I'll pay in cash. I will tell you about it in detail. I'm in doubt. In fact, it isn't so. Right, so do you always come there on time? So we mostly say on time, on time. It means not later. Good. On the radio. I heard it on the radio. Yeah, don't forget to put this article there. On the radio. I heard it on the radio. Yeah, so it's on the radio. Good. On the phone. We often talk on the phone. What about you? Do you often talk on the phone? So how many hours a day? Or maybe minutes a day? So it's interesting. It's really interesting to know it. Okay. On TV. On TV. I saw it on TV. It means on television. You know that on TV is more informal and we mostly say on TV. I saw it on TV. On TV. Good. So what about you? Do you often watch TV, or maybe you prefer actually to use the internet? On a diet. On a diet. I think I need to go on a diet. So remember this phrase, go on a diet. So I need to go on a diet. So I think that maybe I'm overweight and I need to lose weight. So I think I need to go on a diet. Yeah. Good. On a regular basis. A very useful expression. On a regular basis. We need to learn English on a regular basis. Or regularly. So I can tell you that we need to learn English more regularly or on a regular basis. It means regularly, more systematically. And regularly, yeah, we need to learn English not only regularly, but systematically and effectively. Okay, on foot. Okay, I often go to work on foot. It means that I don't go there by car or by train, by bus, so I walk there. So it can maybe take me more time, but it's very good for my health. I often go to work on foot. Yeah, that's right. Good. So next, on business. On business. He is in China on business. Right. We say on business or on a business trip. So he is in China on business. So he is doing business there. Not as a tourist. Good. On holiday. So we say on holiday. So I'm on holiday. It means that I'm not going to work these days. I'm not going to work these days. I'm on holiday. So do you like going on holiday? Good. By. By accident or by chance. Look. I saw it by accident or by chance or accidentally. It means that I wasn't going I wasn't going to see it. I wasn't going to see it. It happened suddenly. Good. So we also say by bus, by train, by plane, by air, by sea, by land. Especially when we talk about traveling. Right. Look. So I can ask you, do you like traveling by bus? Or do you like traveling by train, by plane, by air, by sea, by land? Of course, you can say, yeah, so, for example, he is on the bus. So we say on the bus, on the plane, yeah, but it's in another context. But in this context, yes, if we are looking at this context, we use by. So, by train, by plane, by air, by sea. So, I mean, in this context, related to traveling. Good. So what's next? By mistake. By mistake. Yeah, so I can tell you that. For example, I wrote, so by mistakes, by mistakes. So by mistakes, I wasn't going to write it, so, and I corrected it. So by mistake, so it was my mistake, I wasn't going to do it, so but it happened somehow. So I called here by mistake. So it means that I was actually calling another person, but I was going to call another person, but I called here by mistake, so it was my mistake, by mistake. Okay, so let's revise it. Let's revise it. Okay, and this slide too. Okay, so do you always come there on time? I heard it on the radio. We often talk on the phone. I saw it on TV. I think I need to go on a diet. We need to learn English on a regular basis. I often go to work on foot. He is in China on business. I'm on holiday. I saw it by accident, or I saw it by chance. Do you like traveling by bus, by train, by plane, by air, by sea, by land? I call her by mistake. Yeah, and some very useful phrases with for. So, do you know that we say for breakfast, for lunch, and for dinner? For example, what do you usually eat for breakfast? Or what do you usually eat for lunch? What do you usually eat for dinner? We can also use have, the verb have, in this context. I can also ask you, what do you usually have for breakfast, for lunch, and for dinner? So it's okay to say eat for breakfast or have for breakfast. It's okay. Next. So what else? So we also say for sure. For example, I know it for sure. It means I'm really sure. I really know it. For sale. It's for sale. So you can buy it. It's for sale. It's for sale, really. You can buy it cheaply. It's for sale. For fun. I do it for fun. It is funny. It's just so funny for me. I really like doing it. It's so funny. I do it for fun. Yeah, for entertainment. We also say, yeah, you need to see it. I understand that. Okay, let's make it smaller. I got your message. I got your message. I think it's okay now. So you see, for example, and for instance. For example, and for instance. Okay? So I know that we mostly say, for example, but you also need to know that we can say, for example, and for instance. So it's the same. For example, I have so many aims. For example, I want to improve my English greatly. Or you can say, for instance, it's the same. For example, or for instance, I just don't understand why more students, who learn English, they only say, for example, but they never say, for instance, or almost never. It's such a nice expression, such a natural expression. So, for instance, so don't say, for example, all the time. So use, for example, and for instance as well. Okay? Yeah, and the last one. So, for a walk. Yeah, just maybe this we don't need for here. Yeah, so because we have for in the beginning, so we don't need it here. Okay, thank you for understanding. So, for a walk. So we say for a walk. So really, let's go for a walk. Yeah. So the weather is fantastic. Let's go for a walk. Okay, but before it, yeah, we need to revise it. Okay, so what do you usually eat for breakfast, lunch, dinner? I know it for sure. It's for sale. I do it for fun. I have so many aims. For example, for instance, I want to improve my English greatly. Let's go for a walk. Yeah. So I know that you had lots of questions about at, in, on, by, and for, but you also need to keep in mind that you need to know these prepositional phrases if you want to know English, or if you really want to know English and speak it correctly, fluently, and confidently. You can you can put a like and share this video with your friends. Thanks a lot, my friends. I wish you good luck. Bye-bye. Hi, my friends. Welcome to the channel English Professionally, and this video is about English prepositions with nouns. So I'm sure, it will help you a lot to speak English fluently and correctly. And basically, you just need to know this information. So there are some nouns, and we need to use a certain preposition after them. For example, reason. So we say reason for. Just let me give an example. What's the reason for it? And let me type it for you, okay? What's the reason for it? So we say reason for. So what's the reason for it? So why does it happen? Why did it happen? So if there is a verb after reason, so you need to use ing. Look, what's the reason for doing it? What's the reason? What's the reason for doing it? So we say reason for doing something. It means that, so why should we do it? So why should we do it really? What's the reason for doing it? So what's the reason for learning English so intensively? It's a simple actually answer. We need to learn it fast. Okay? Next, demand for. So there was a growing demand for those goods. There was a growing demand for those goods. Okay, so you see, so the demand was getting or was becoming so bigger and bigger. So growing demand for those goods or for those products. Good. So what about to? So students often make mistakes with this preposition. We say solution to. So for example, you don't know what to do, you don't know how to solve this problem, and you can say this kind of actually sentence, or you can ask this kind of question. So what's the solution to this problem? What's the solution? What's the solution to this problem? It means, how can we solve this problem? Solution to. What's the solution to this problem? Remember these expressions, solution to a problem. Good. Answer to. Okay, what's the best answer to this question? Okay, good. So what's the best? What's the best answer to this question? What's the best answer to this question? So we say answer to. Okay, what's the best answer to this question? Okay, next, objection to. Okay, good. So I had no objection. I had no objection to doing it. It's one more tricky question. So I had no objection to it, or to doing it. So it's about grammar, So you need to remember objection to doing something, it's an exception. So we mostly say to plus verb, but we see to plus verb plus ing. I had no objection to doing it, without to. I had no objection to doing it. Well, so it means that it was okay. So I thought, it's okay, we can do it. So good. So attitude. So we say attitude to or towards. For example, what's your attitude towards smoking? Or what's your attitude? What's your attitude? You can say to or towards smoking. What's your attitude towards smoking, or what's your attitude to smoking? It's okay. Okay, just let's revise it shortly. So what's the reason for it? What's the reason for doing it? There was a growing demand for those goods. What's the solution to this problem? What's the best answer to this question? I had no objection to doing it. What's your attitude to smoking or towards smoking? Good. So what's your attitude? It means, so what do you think about actually smoking? What's your opinion about it? What's your attitude towards smoking? Okay. Next. So addiction. For example, addiction to. He couldn't hide his addiction to the internet. He couldn't hide his addiction to the internet. It means that so other people could see it very easily, so he couldn't hide his addiction to the internet, so it was obvious. Next, so answer to, it's just don't know actually why we repeat it for the second time, just let's skip it. Okay, thanks for understanding. Reply. Okay, so I've already replied to her letter. Okay, I've already replied to your letter. So replied to. I've already replied to her letter. Right. So what's next? So we've already corrected it. So just we see this word just one time, answer. And so the next word, so difference and connection between. So students often ask me, for example, what's the difference between these two words? Okay. So what's the difference between these two words? What's the difference between these two words, or what's the difference between these two expressions? It's a very common question. So difference between. Okay, connection between. Okay, what's the connection between these two accidents? What's the connection? What's the connection between these two accidents? So what's the connection between? So how are these things connected? What's the connection between them? So next, so lack of and cause of. For example, why didn't you do it? And you can say, so lack of free time. Lack of free time. So lack can be a verb, so you can say I lack free time, or you can say lack of free time is a real problem for me. Is a real problem for me. It means that you don't have enough free time, so you can say I don't have free time, I have no time, I have no free time, or I lack free time, or lack of free time is a real problem for me. So it sounds very natural, so just need to remember lack of. It's a noun here. So cause of, usually cause of an accident. For example, what was the cause of his death? Okay, what was the cause of his death? So it's similar to the word reason. The fact is that we say cause of an accident. So cause of. What was the cause of his death? Okay, just let's revise it shortly. So he couldn't hide his addiction to the internet. I've already replied to her letter. What's the difference between these two words? What's the connection between these two accidents? I lack free time. Lack of free time is a real problem for me. What was the cause of his death? So in, increase in, decrease in. For example, there was an increase in sales. So there was an increase in sales. So the opposite word is decrease. So increase means growth, so more, sales, and decrease, it's the opposite word. So there was a decrease in sales. you can also use these words. So drop, rise or fall. Drop in, rise in, fall in. Okay? So there was, yeah? For example, just let me give you another example. There was. So you can say an increase or a rise or a fall, not drop. Drop, it's another word. A fall in demand. In demand. It means that so there was less demand in the end. So there was a rise, drop, fall in demand. Okay? Good. So increase. So actually, so it means more, like rise, and decrease means less, like drop and fall. It's less than it was. Okay? So, and so two more, yeah, extremely important words and phrases: satisfaction with and dissatisfaction with. So, for example, I experienced a feeling of dissatisfaction. And then we'll continue it. I experienced a feeling of dissatisfaction with their service, for example. So I experienced a feeling of dissatisfaction with their service, yeah? Or on the contrary, so you can say I experienced or I had, let me give you just another example. So I had some kind of satisfaction with my results. I had some kind of, it's a very natural phrase for speaking, satisfaction with my results. Okay, so I had some kind of satisfaction with my results. It means that I was satisfied. I was satisfied with my results. Yeah, I was satisfied with my results. And here means that I was dissatisfied with my results. I was dissatisfied with my results. I wasn't happy about my results at all. Okay, so let's revise it. So there was an increase, decrease in sales. Good. So there was a rise, a drop, a fall in demand. I experienced a feeling of dissatisfaction with their service. So I was dissatisfied with their service. Or I had some kind of satisfaction with my results. So I was satisfied. I was satisfied with my results. Okay, my friends, thank you very much. Yeah, please pay attention actually to these words and preposition, and I'm sure it will help you a lot. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hi my friends, welcome to the channel English Professionally, and this video course is very special. So it's about prepositional phrases for all the levels you might need, so not only for beginners but also for these levels, I mean intermediate and advanced. So really you'll see and hear lots of useful information. Okay, are you ready? Are you ready to know this information? So the thing is that you need to know these prepositional phrases to speak English correctly and fluently. Okay, let's look at some prepositions with on, so you need to remember it. On suspicion of, so you can listen and repeat. On holiday, on vacation, on purpose, on tiptoe, on no account, on a diet, on approval, on behalf of, on time, on business, on edge, on the verge of, on a trip or on a business trip, on a journey, on condition that, on the phone, on average, on the part of, on pension, on paper, on the brink of, on the agenda, on occasion, on someone's initiative, on the assumption, on sale, on the grounds of, on the horizon, on the edge of, on the hour. Yeah, on an island, on fire, on file, on good terms, on strike, on a regular basis. Good. Let's look at the prepositions within. In view of, in love with, in defense of, in disguise, in charge of, in terms of, in response to, in brief, in a sense, in reality, in action, in hand, in distress, in progress. Okay, let's continue. In confusion, in advance, in the end, in the beginning, in a deep sleep, in agreement with, in existence, in retrospect, in general, in the meantime, in trouble, in debt, in the form of, in tears, in poverty, in favor of, in honor of, in fact, in danger, in theory, in earnest, in the long run. Yeah, so we need to see in the short run, not sure about short run, in the short run. So S-H-O-R-T, in the short run, in person, in abundance, in accordance with, in secret, in the absence of, in blossom, in conclusion, in disorder, in a hurry, in vain, in custody, in short, in other words, in relation to, in cash, in silence, in connection with, in question, in public, in decline, in future, in practice, in detail, in doubt, in isolation, in harmony, in a mess, in the eyes of, in private, in particular, in demand, in disgrace, in comparison with or to, in moderation, in addition to, in pursuit of, in collaboration with, in pieces, in return, in search of, in essence, in contrast with, in contrast to. So if you look at these prepositions, so we see really lots of prepositional phrases within, much more than with by, for, at, and at anyway. So we also need to pay attention to these prepositions too. Okay, let's look at this preposition, by. Okay, so by chance, by law, by force, by order of, by air, by sea, by land, by nature, by no means, by hand, by mistake, by means of, by heart, by far, by request, by oneself, for example, by myself, by himself, by yourself, and so on, by my watch, by birth, by accident, by all means, by degrees, by surprise. Okay, so we have already talked about the following prepositions, I mean on, in, by. Let's have a look at for granted, for fear of, for the good of, for the sake of, for life, for some reason, for some reasons, for good, for sure, or for certain, for a change, for real, at noon, at the peak of, at the expense of, at the latest, at length, at a distance, at times, at night, at the top of, at the bottom of, at once, at odds with, at random, at all costs, at present, at the end of something, at the beginning of something, at a discount, at all events, at a standstill, at the age of, at any rate, at a glance, at a loss, at ease, at heart, at work, at most, at any cost, at home, at sea, at least, at the thought of. And we also see at a disadvantage, at hand, so we also see at hand, and at a high speed. Okay, my friends, you see that these prepositional phrases are for all levels, for beginners, intermediates, and advanced, and I hope that most of these prepositional phrases are familiar to you. Anyway, I believe that it's a good idea to make up your own examples. For example, you know this prepositional phrase on holiday, and you can say, or you can write it down, I'll go on holiday next month, or I'll go on holiday soon. Right. So what else can you see? For example, so in reality, for example, you can write, one sentence or one phrase, or you can write a couple of phrases or two phrases. For example, I'd like to learn English in a month. In reality, or in fact, in reality, it isn't so easy to do it. Okay? It isn't so easy to do it. Yeah. Well, so, or for example, you can write, I did it by mistake, or I did it by accident, I did it accidentally. Okay, so if you make up your own sentences, it will help you memorize these things much better. So I hope that you'll do your best. Anyway, if you have no time for it, don't worry. The most important thing is that you know these prepositional phrases, and so sooner or later, really, I believe so, you'll meet them or you'll hear them, okay? So I think that you can write it down or save it, so I just don't know actually what is better for you. But anyway, okay, my friends, so if you want more examples and if you want more prepositional phrases and if you want prepositional phrases maybe just for beginners or just for this intermediate level or an advanced level, let me know and I'll try to prepare something useful for you too. Thank you, my friends, very much. Thank you. Hi, my friends. Welcome to channel English Professionally, and this video isn't for beginners, it's for an intermediate level, so it's about English prepositions with adjectives, verbs and nouns. If you remember our previous video, right, we were talking about some basic prepositions and prepositional phrases. As for this video, we're going to talk about more difficult things. Okay, let's have a look at the first preposition and the words which we use with it. So of, we say ashamed of. For example, she was ashamed of her behavior. Okay, let me type it for you. She was ashamed of her behavior. So as you know, it's called, American spelling, and if you want a British spelling, so it's with you. So as for an American spelling, it's without you. So she was ashamed of her behavior. It means that it was a real shame for her. It was a real shame for her. It was a real shame for her. Next, this one. So accuse of. He was accused of murder. He was accused of murder. So he was accused, So other people thought that he had killed someone. He was accused of murder. So consist of. The presentation consisted of 10 chapters or of 10 slides. You had the book, the book consists of chapters, but as for a presentation, it consists of slides. So I just said it almost automatically. So the presentation consisted of 10 slides. So for example, you can say the book consists of 5 chapters. Good. Okay, so actually I think that you remember it and you can revise this information in the previous video, some basic preposition, some more difficult things. So die of. So it's a very common mistake. She died of cancer. She died of cancer. It's a very serious disease, She died of cancer. So guilty of. Who was guilty of it? Who was guilty of it? Who was guilty of it? Jealous. She is always jealous of her husband. She is always jealous of her husband. She is always jealous of her husband. Aware. I am aware of these threats. I am aware of these threats. Capable. So we say capable of. For example, I don't think he is capable of doing it. I don't think he is capable of doing it. So I don't think that he's able to do it. Typical. So it's very typical of him. It's very typical of him, so it's his typical feature. So I just don't know, but students often use another preposition instead of. It's a very common mistake. It's very typical of him. Next, frightened. So she was frightened of the unknown. She was frightened of the unknown. Unknown. She was frightened of the unknown. So she didn't know what would happen. Frightened of. Okay, so let's revise it. So she was ashamed of her behavior. So it was a real shame for her. He was accused of murder. The presentation consisted of 10 slides. She died of cancer. Who was guilty of it? She is always jealous of her husband. I am aware of these threats. I don't think he is capable of doing it. It's very typical of him. She was frightened of the unknown. Scared. Or she was scared. You can say frightened or scared. So basically, these words mean more or less the same. Okay, I'll give you one more example. So she was scared. She was scared of his words. She was scared of his words. Frightened of, scared of, afraid of. Okay, so what's next? Approve of. I approve of your decision. I approve of your decision. I approve of your decision. So we say arrive in. So if it's a city or a country, for example, I arrived in India. I arrived in India. Yeah, but we also say arrive at. So if it's a small place, you need to remember these phrases. So I arrived at the airport, at the airport, at the party, at the conference, at the conference, okay? So at the meeting, and the meeting, and so on. Yeah? So, good. Well, succeed in doing something. So I succeeded in getting that job. I succeeded in doing something, in getting that job. It means that I was successful in doing it. So I succeeded in. So differ from. So we say different from or differ from. So his opinion differs from mine. His opinion differs from mine, or his opinion is different from mine. Congratulate on. So I'd like to congratulate you on passing the exam. I'd like to congratulate you on passing the exam. So we say on something or on doing something. Insist on. I insist on it. I insist on it. So I want it to happen. Focus on or concentrate on. I'd like to focus on this problem. I'd like to focus on, or I'd like to concentrate on. concentrate on this problem. So I'd like to focus on this problem. I'd like to concentrate on this problem. So rely on or count on. So you can rely on me. You can rely on me, or you can count on me. So, or you can trust me. So you can, yeah, we have it. So you can trust me. You can rely on me. You can count on me. Okay, let's have a look at it one more time. So she was scared of his words. I approve of your decision. I arrived in India. I arrived at the airport, at the party, at the conference, at the meeting. Succeed in. So I succeeded in getting that job. His opinion differs from mine. I'd like to congratulate you on passing the exam. I insist on it. I'd like to focus on this problem, or I'd like to concentrate on this problem. You can rely on me, or you can count on me. So next, so we say aim at. So I aim at, for example, I aim at, so getting this result. Or I aim at achieving. So you say aim at something or aim at doing something. I aim at achieving this result. Achieve. So we talked about arrive in and arrive at. So surprised and shocked. You see, so you can say surprised at, shocked at, and surprised by, shocked by. For example, I was. You can say I was surprised or I was shocked by at the news. So it's okay to use by or at. So I was surprised by the news, or I was shocked by the news, or you can use at. So we often see by. I would say more often. So smile and laugh. She smiled at me. She smiled at me. She smiled at me. Smile at. Laugh at. They often laughed at the boy. They often laughed at the boy. So throw. So you see, we can say throw at and throw to. What's the difference between throw at and throw to? Look. He threw a stone at him. He threw a stone at him. So he wanted to hurt him. So it's dangerous. It's dangerous. So he wanted to hurt him. He wanted to hurt him. So let's look at the next example. So he threw the pen to him. So the pen, so if we know this pen, so if we don't know it, so just it's a basic thing here. So he threw a pen to him. So it's okay, it depends on the context. He threw a pen to him. So, but he did it not in order to hurt him, but so he wanted to help. He wanted to help. He wanted to help. So that's the difference. So he threw a stone at him. So threw at, it's dangerous. He wanted to hurt him. And he threw a pen to him. So he wanted to help. Well, so what's next? Accustomed to. Accustomed to. So I'm accustomed to it. I am accustomed, yeah? So we say, so double, right, yeah, I remember. So double C and so T. I'm accustomed to it. So you say I'm accustomed to it or I'm used to it. It means it's okay for me. It's okay, it's normal. It's normal. It's normal for me now. I'm accustomed to it, I'm used to it. So react to. How did he react to it? How did he react to it? Okay, so I aim at achieving this result. I was surprised by the news. I was shocked by the news. She smiled at me. They often laughed at the boy. He threw a stone at him. So it's dangerous. He wanted to hurt him. He threw a pen to him. He wanted to help. I'm accustomed to it or I'm used to it. So it's normal for me now. How did he react to it? Okay? So we say similar to. So his ideas are similar to mine. His ideas are similar to mine. So similar to. So we have almost the same ideas. So familiar. So we can say familiar to and familiar with. Compare. This thing is familiar to me. This thing is familiar to me, and I'm familiar with this thing. I'm familiar with this thing. So you see the difference. So something is familiar to someone. Someone is familiar to someone. So as you see here, and someone is familiar with, no, sorry, something, yeah, something, yeah, because this thing means something is familiar to someone. So it's a thing, yeah, it's an object. And someone, so a person, yeah. First we say a person. Someone is familiar with something. Someone is familiar with something. I'm familiar with this thing. So you see. Good. So throw, yeah, we talked about it. So apologize for. I'd like to apologize for it. I'd like to apologize for it. It means that I'm really sorry about it. I'm really sorry about it. Prepare for. You need to prepare for your exams more thoroughly. You need to prepare for your exams more thoroughly. You need to prepare for your exams more thoroughly. It means more intensively. Prepare for. So familiar, yeah, we talked about it. Deal with. So I deal with suppliers, or I deal with customers, or we also call them clients. I deal with customers or clients. Deal with. So it's my job. I deal with. So complain about. He always complains about it. He always complains. He always complains about it. So he isn't satisfied with something and he tells other people about this thing. So his ideas are similar to mine. Something is familiar to someone. This thing is familiar to me. But someone is familiar with something. I am familiar with this thing. I'd like to apologize for it. You need to prepare for your exams more thoroughly. I deal with suppliers. I deal with customers, clients. He always complains about it. So excited. I'm really excited about the news. I'm really excited about the news. It means I'm really so happy about it. I'm really excited about the news. It's so exciting and so interesting. It's so thrilling. So translate from one language into another. So I need to translate it from Spanish into English. I need to translate it from Spanish into English. For example, yeah? No tengo problemas. I just don't know because actually, so it's in Spanish. No tengo problemas. Or no tengo algunos problemas. No tengo algunos problemas. It means I don't have any problems. No tengo algunos problemas. I don't have any problems. So I've just translated it from Spanish into English. My friend, please remember that we say translate into. It's a very common mistake. Okay, good. I don't have any problems. Okay, good. So I'm really excited about the news. I need to translate it from Spanish into English. So no tengo algunos problemas means I don't have any problems. So, and we talked about surprised and shocked. So it can be shocked by, surprised at, and shocked at. Okay, my friends, I really hope this video is extremely useful. You just need actually to know this information, and don't forget to have a look at these examples one more time if you really want to memorize it better and start using it in your daily life more effectively. Thank you. Hi my friends, welcome to the channel English Professionally, and this video is very special. So you see, it's called 33 Common English Phrases with Prepositions. So in, as, to, on, for, of, with, at, and from. You see lots of useful English phrases for speaking, and basically you just need to know these phrases and these examples. So we're going to have a look at them. Okay? You see different prepositions in different columns with in, as, to, on, and for. Okay? I really hope you like this video. Okay? So you can put a like if you haven't done it yet. Okay, in. Listen. We say in the beginning. It's a very useful phrase for speaking English fluently and correctly. You see, in the beginning, I'd like to say the following. In the beginning, in, only in. Next, in the end. So we say in the beginning and in the end. I'd like to mention it in the end, or I'd like to say it in the end. Good. In conclusion. Okay, in conclusion. I need to say something in conclusion. So we say in the end or in conclusion. When we finish our talk, when we finish our discussion, when we finish our conversation, in conclusion. Good. In addition or in addition to it. In addition to it, we also try to improve other results. So in addition to it, it means that we do more. So we add something, we do more. In addition to it, it means that it isn't the first thing, so it's the second thing or maybe the third thing in addition to it. In other words, in other words, it was a very big success. In other words, it was a very big success. Good. In general, you see, in general, our profit is quite stable. In general, it means that, so in general, if we look at all these situations, in my opinion, okay, in my opinion, we shouldn't do it. It means I think we shouldn't do it. It isn't a good idea to do it. Okay? Also, you need to remember that we say in short and in brief. In short or in brief. In short, I got that job. Or you can say shortly, I got that job. In brief, it was so difficult to pass that exam. So you can say in short or in brief, and students often ask, so what's the difference between in short and in brief? The thing is that we mostly use in short, however, we sometimes mean in brief too, so you need to get used to it, okay? Good, very good. Okay, so if you look at different phrases for English speaking with in, you need to remember all these phrases as well as the other ones, okay? Let's look at the column with as. So you see, as for me, okay? As for me, I really like learning English online. So it means that I want to talk about myself. As for me, I really like learning English online. As a result, we won. It's a result of something. As a result, we can say as a result or so. So we won. Or as a result, we won. At. You see. As and at. We have as and at in this column. Okay? You see as and at. Not only as. So at first, we need to correct it. Just a second. Okay, I think it's better now. So we say at first. At first, It was really difficult. So at first or firstly. Firstly. It was really difficult. Good. You know that we say in the beginning and in the end, right? You see it? But sometimes we say at the end and at the beginning when we have of. So if you have of, you say at the end of, at the beginning of. Remember. So I know that many students make this mistake again and again. You just need to understand the difference. So with of, at, without of, so in. You see. We can discuss it at the end of the meeting. We can talk about it at the beginning of the next meeting. Or you can say we can discuss it in the end. We can talk about it in the beginning. In the beginning. Good. Very good. Next. As well as. As well as. So you see as 2 times. As well as. And as a consequence. As a consequence. And my friends, I also think that it's a good idea for you to make up your own examples. So you see different phrases, different prepositions, and you can make up your own phrases or sentences, in the comments below. So as well as, for example, I want to know English as well as you. As well as you. It means when you want to have the same level as well as or the same as. Okay, next. As a consequence. As a consequence. As a consequence means as a result. As a consequence, they lost this money. Or as a result, they lost this money. But you know, it sounds more formal when you say as a consequence. Consequence. Good. Then such as. Such as. So you use it when you want to illustrate something, when you want to give some examples. Okay? I have different hobbies such as football and English. Football and English. Good. At the same time. For example, at the same time. So at the same time we having a great time and learning English. So you can say, or we're having a great time and at the same time we're learning English. So when you have two things in one. Okay, to sum up. To sum up. Okay? When you want actually to say something in the end. To sum up, we collected all the necessary information. So you can say to sum up, or in the end, or in conclusion. Okay, there is one more very nice phrase. To summarize or to sum up. It means the same. Okay? To summarize, it wasn't just good luck. Or you can say to sum up, it wasn't just good luck. Okay, excellent my friends, excellent. Okay, you also see in order to, related to, due to. Okay, in order to, related to, due to. Okay, so I learn English in order to get a more well-paid job. So you see, in order to. So you can say in order to or just to without in order. So listen, I learn English to get a more well-paid job. It's okay. And I learn English in order to get a more well-paid job. It's also correct, but it's a little bit more formal. Okay, related to or connected with. I mostly read books related to this subject. So what does it mean, related? Or what does this word related mean? It means about. You can say simply, I mostly read books about this subject, related to or connected with. I mostly read books connected with my profession, so which have a connection with my profession, or about my profession, which can help me in my profession. So very useful phrases, related to or connected with. Next, due to. He did it due to several factors. Due to means because of several factors. So it's more formal. It's more formal than because of. You see, in order to is more formal than to, and due to is more formal than because of. So he did it due to several factors, or because of. Anyway, we mostly meet due to in formal English. Good. Okay, what about of? Let's say of course and in spite of. Okay, of course and in spite of. Of course, I agree with you. Of course, I agree with you. Or certainly, I agree with you. Okay, in spite of. I'll speak English fluently and correctly in spite of all these difficulties. So you can use, or you can say in spite of or despite. Listen, I'll say it with despite. I'll speak English fluently and correctly despite all these difficulties. So you can say in spite of and despite. So it makes no difference. The only thing that you need to keep in mind is that you use spite with in and of, and you use despite without prepositions. Okay, good. Okay, next, let's talk about on and for. On the whole, on average, on the other hand, or on the one hand, on the other hand, on the contrary, on the contrary. Okay, but I also believe that it's better to write not just with prepositions, but and examples and examples. So we give examples. It's also very, very important. Not only prepositions, but examples. Okay, so let's look at these examples with on. Okay, on the whole, I have very positive impressions. So on the whole means in general, or on average, it's something in the middle. On average, so my mark was A. On average, my mark was A. So it means that I had different marks, but so it was mostly A, or B, or A on average. It means that it's a result which is in the middle. On average, my mark was A. Okay, good. On the one hand, it sounds good. So on the one hand, it sounds good. It means that, yes, there is one thing, but there is also one more thing. It's usually the negative thing. On the other hand, I'm not sure it really works. I'm not sure it really works. When you want to talk about two opposite sides of one thing, okay? On the one hand, it sounds good. On the other hand, I'm not sure it really works. Next, on the contrary, it's a terrible idea. You use it when you disagree. It's about actually saying something that is the opposite thing. On the contrary, it's a terrible idea. Okay, next, for. With and for. Okay, so you see, connected with. So we had an example with connected with. So I hope you remember it. So we said, so related to or connected with. I mostly read books connected with my profession. Very good. And for a start. For example, for instance, for this reason, for a while. For a while, it means for some time, for a while. Okay, good, my friends, very good. So, you see, what can you say for a start? For a start. For example, you open this website. For example, or for instance. I know that students mostly use for example, but I think it's better to combine different phrases, to use a combination of them. So sometimes you need to use for example, sometimes you need to use for instance. It's about more advanced vocabulary. Good. For this reason, you shouldn't do it. For this reason, it means that because of it, or because of this thing, you shouldn't do it. And at the same time, I think we need to think about other alternatives too. At the same time. Good. Okay, and we also had an example with on average. On average. So you see, on average, my mark was A. Okay, my friends, very good. And you also see this phrase, for a while, it means for some time. So I'll be away for a while, or I'll be away for some time. Okay, so actually you see that there are more than 33 phrases here, a bit more. But if we look at the examples we wrote down, so it's 33 if I'm not mistaken, okay? If I'm mistaken, please correct me. Okay, if you want actually more examples, let me know, or you can write your own examples. Yeah, it would be great, my friends. Thank you very much, and I wish you good luck. Bye-bye. Oh, wait, just a second. I forgot one thing, yeah? So we also talked about from, you see? And so there is a short test for you, just a bonus. Okay, you need to guess. Actually, the preposition we need here. Look, my point of view, it's an amazing lesson. So, what preposition would you choose? From, in, at. Okay, we need to say from. From my point of view, it's an amazing lesson, or it's an amazing video. Remember, we say from my point of view. Really, it's a very nice phrase for speaking. And you see, you can actually add more phrases. Really, it would be great, or it would be fantastic, or it would be absolutely fantastic. We're absolutely sure. Thanks, my friends, a lot. Thank you. Hi, my friends. Welcome to the channel English Professionally, and I really hope it's a great course, so you can support it with likes and shares. Yeah, thanks a lot. So this video course is called 100 Prepositional Phrases, so with examples. It's really what you need, and so I'm absolutely sure these examples are extremely useful. Really, it's what you need. And you know, it's also a test for you. So you need to choose, or you need to put the right preposition before a word or a phrase. For example, short. So what prepositional phrase should it be? We say in short. In short, okay? So in short, so this lesson is extremely useful. Okay, in short, this lesson is extremely useful. So you can say in short, or you can also say in brief. It's one more alternative of how you can say it in brief. This lesson is extremely useful. So you can also say shortly, or you can say briefly. So briefly means the same as shortly. So you can also hear, you know, shortly speaking, or briefly speaking. Briefly speaking. Okay, so these phrases are extremely useful for speaking, really. So you can also hear, so to put it shortly. To put it shortly means to say it shortly. So, or you can say, so to put it briefly. To put it briefly. To put it briefly. So you can also meet I'll be short, or I'll be brief. I'll be brief. Okay, my friend, if you really want to master your speaking skills, you need to start using these phrases. Really, they are necessary. I'm absolutely sure, okay? So in short, this lesson is extremely useful. So you can also see in brief, shortly, briefly, yeah, shortly speaking, briefly speaking, to put it shortly, to put it briefly, I'll be short, so I'll be brief. Next, a business trip. So what preposition should you use? We say on a trip, on a business trip. For example, my partner is on a business trip. My partner is on a business trip. It means that he's away, he went to another city or country on business. Okay, my friends, really very good. Okay, but I believe that we need more space. No problem. Okay, so we have this space, okay? Just, you know, let's revise it shortly. Okay, so in short, and on a business trip. So my partner is on a business trip. Okay, good. Okay, let's speed up. So the intention of. Do you know this prepositional phrase? We say with the intention of. And I can tell you that I created this channel with the intention of helping English learners around the world. I created this English channel with the intention of helping English learners around the world. It means that it was my intention. In other words, I intended, right? I intended to do it, or I wanted to do it. Okay, with intention of. I created this channel with the intention of helping English learners around the world. Okay, oneself. So we say by oneself. For example, by myself. So I'm sure I can learn English by myself. I'm sure I can learn English. I can learn English by myself. We say by myself or on my own. On my own, it means without other people's help. So without other people's help. I mean without taking lessons or paying money, okay? Without other people's help, okay? The same time. Okay, at the same time. For example, you can say that learning English is difficult sometimes. At the same time, I perfectly understand, so I really need this language. Okay? So learning English is difficult. Sometimes. At the same time, yeah, a very nice phrase. I perfectly understand. Understand. I really need this language. I really need this language. Okay, very good, my friend. So, at the same time, you see, good. Okay, so you see, with intention of, I created this English channel with intention of helping English learners around the world. So I intended to do it. By myself, I'm sure I can learn English by myself or on my own without other people's help. At the same time, learning English is difficult sometimes. At the same time, I perfectly understand I really need this language. Success, so you can see with success or without success. For example, he tried to persuade her without success. Or but without success. He tried to persuade her, but without success. It means that he tried to make her do something but unsuccessfully. So without success means unsuccessfully. Okay, last. So we say at last. At last. Okay? So for example, I finished watching your video at last. I finished watching your video at last. At last means that so it happened and I'm so happy. So maybe this video was long. For example, you know that we have a video 250 phrasal verbs, so this video is quite long. So anyway, you can say I finished watching your video at last. So and you're so happy that it happened. Okay, so conclusion. So we say in conclusion. For example, in conclusion. So in conclusion, I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank you. So in conclusion or in the end, or we also see this phrase sometimes to sum up, or all in all, I'd like to thank you. Okay, so air, we say by air. So if we are talking about prepositions without articles, by air. And I have a question for you, my friends. Do you often travel by air? Do you often travel by air? Do you often travel by air? Okay, so next you see arrest. So we say under arrest. So he was under arrest. It means that he was arrested. He was under arrest. So without success, he tried to persuade her, but without success or unsuccessfully. At last, I finished watching your video at last. In conclusion, I'd like to thank you. To sum up, or all in all, by air. Do you often travel by air? Under arrest. He was under arrest. Hand. So we say at hand. For example, I can tell you. So the pen is at hand. So you see, so the pen, it's near. So it's at hand. It's near. The pen is at hand. It means near. So pressure. So you can say that my boss is under pressure. My boss is under pressure. So he is in trouble. He experiences some problems. So my boss is under pressure. So maybe he has a debt. He has a debt, maybe. Yeah, debt. So maybe it's because of competitors. Because of competitors. So some problems, some difficulties. So it may be a serious trouble. Okay, any rate. Okay, I'll continue doing it at any rate. I'll continue doing it at, right? So we say under pressure, at any rate, So we say at any rate or in any case. It means that anyway. It means anyway. So I'll continue doing it. Okay, maybe other people will tell me, okay, stop doing it. Okay, that's enough. So don't do it. But I'll continue to do it anyway. So despite other people's words, phrases, so whatever. So I'll continue to do it at any rate in any case. So it's my decision, and no one will influence it. Mistake. So we say by mistake. I called her by mistake. I called her by mistake. By mistake, or we can also meet by accident. By accident or accidentally. Accidentally. I didn't want to do it, yeah? I wasn't going to do it, so it was my mistake. Suspicion. So we say under suspicion. Under suspicion. So the man was under suspicion. The man was under suspicion. So others or other people suspected. Other people suspected him. It means that other people thought that he did something bad, he did something wrongly, so maybe he committed a crime, maybe he is a criminal, so under suspicion, yeah? It means that there is something wrong with this person, but we need to prove it. Okay, so at hand, the pen is at hand. Under pressure. My boss is under pressure, so maybe because he has a debt or because of competitors. At any rate, I'll continue doing it at any rate, or in any case anyway. By mistake, I called her by mistake or by accident or accidentally. Under suspicion. So the man was under suspicion, so other people suspected him. Okay. Next, work. So we say at work. So my father is at work. My father is at work. It means he isn't at home. A diet. So we say on a diet. Would you like to go on a diet? Would you like to go on a diet? It means, so would you like to lose weight? So, and eat, so maybe less, or maybe eat only special food, and so on. Comparison with. So we say in comparison with or in comparison to. It's also possible. So, for example, you can see that this movie is very funny in comparison with that one. This movie is very funny in comparison with that one. This movie is very funny in comparison with that one. The bottom of. We say at the bottom of. So you can see it at the bottom of the page. You can see it at the bottom of the page, or you can see it at the bottom of the slide. Okay, can you see it? Okay, paper. On paper. So I want to have it on paper. I want to have it on paper. It means not only words, but on paper. So you need a document. At work. My father is at work. On a diet. Would you like to go on a diet? Or would you like to lose weight? In comparison with or in comparison to. This movie is very funny in comparison with that one. At the bottom of. You can see it at the bottom of the page or at the bottom of the slide. On paper. I want to have it on paper. So not only words. Right, so you see, we say out of curiosity. I asked him that question out of curiosity. I asked him that question out of curiosity, or because I was curious. Because I was curious, I really wanted to know it. It was so interesting for me. The brink of, we say on the brink of. So she was on the brink of despair. She was on the brink of. On the brink of despair. So despair means actually tragedy or something really bad. She was on the brink of. She was almost in despair. She was almost in this condition. She was almost in a very big trouble. We say on the brink of or on the verge of. By heart. I need to learn these prepositions by heart. I need to learn these prepositions by heart. I need to learn these prepositions by heart. Or I need to memorize them. I need to memorize them. I need to know everything. So I need to have it in my mind, in my memory. A journey. So we say on a journey. On a journey. So I was on a journey. I was on a journey. Or I was on a trip. Or I was away. I was away. Stress. So he is often under stress. He is often under stress. It means that he often feels stressful. He often feels stressful, okay? So out of curiosity. I asked him that question out of curiosity, so I was curious. On the brink of, on the verge of. She was on the brink of despair. By heart. I need to learn these prepositions by heart. I need to memorize them. On a journey. I was on a journey. I was away. under stress. He is often under stress. He often feels stressful. Of order. For example, I say, so the machine is out of order. If I say so, out of order, it means it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. The radio, so we say, on the radio. Do you like? We say listening to the radio, or I heard it on the radio. I heard it on the radio. So I hope you remember that we say on the radio, but on TV, without a preposition. So you don't need a preposition here. See. So we can say by sea. So do you like traveling by sea? Do you like traveling by sea? The moment. At the moment. So I'm very busy at the moment. I'm very busy at the moment. Or now, I'm very busy now, I'm very busy at the moment. Of pity, it's like out of curiosity. Out of pity, so he gave her some money out of pity. Out of pity. Or he gave her some money out of pity. She was so poor. So out of pity, it means that so he felt pity. So he thought, oh, what a terrible situation. So what a poor person. I need to help this person. And he did it out of pity. As you see, my friend, right? Okay, so you see out of order. The machine is out of order, so it doesn't work. On the radio. I heard it on the radio or on TV. By sea. Do you like traveling by sea? At the moment. I'm very busy at the moment. Out of pity. He gave her some money out of pity. She was so poor, so he felt pity. Land. So we say by land. Do you like traveling by land? Or how often do you travel by land? How often do you travel by land? Terms of. In terms of. What can you say in terms of so this problem? What can you say in terms of this problem? So in terms of means concerning. What can you say concerning this problem, or what can you say about this problem? A certain extent. We say to a certain extent. I agree with you to a certain extent. I agree with you to a certain extent, or partly. I partly agree with you to a certain extent, so partly, not absolutely. The verge of, yeah, we've already talked about it, so we say on the verge of, on the verge of. So he was on the verge of that condition, for example, on the verge of despair, or on the brink of, or on the verge of despair. Spring. In spring. So we usually go there in spring. We usually go there in spring or when spring comes. Usually go there in spring, usually go there when spring comes. By land. How often do you travel by land? In terms of. What can you say in terms of this problem concerning it? To a certain extent. I agree with you, to a certain extent, or partly. On the verge, or on the brink of, he was on the verge of that condition, or on the brink of that condition. In spring, we usually go there in spring, so when spring comes. So we also say in summer. So where do you usually go in summer? Where do you usually go in summer, or where do you usually go when summer comes? Okay, first we say at first. So at first I'd like to say the following. I'd like to say the following, or I'd like to say this thing. Fire. We say on fire. The building was on fire. So it was burning. Stake. We say at stake. So too much was at stake. Too much was at stake, or too much was at risk. So we could lose a lot. Least. So at least. For example, I often hear these kind of things. So I'd like to earn, or I'd like to get at least, for example, $2,000 monthly or every month. So I'd like to earn at least $2,000 monthly. At least means minimum. So minimum, this sum of money. Okay. So in summer, where did we go in summer? At first, I'd like to say the following. Okay, on fire, the building was on fire, so it was burning. At stake, too much was at stake or at risk. At least, I'd like to earn, or I'd like to get at least $2,000 monthly, so minimum, this sum of money. Breath. Out of breath. So she was out of breath. Out of breath. So it was difficult for her to breathe. No circumstances. Under. For example, under. Under no circumstances will I sign this document. Under no circumstances will I sign this document. Under no circumstances. So we often use inversion with this phrase. Under no circumstances will I sign this document. A certain degree. So we say to a certain degree or to a certain extent. So I believe him. I believe him to a certain degree. To a certain degree or to a certain extent. So not fully, not absolutely, so partly. On strike. On strike. So the workers went on strike. The workers went on strike. So they didn't want to continue working, so they stopped working. They didn't want to continue working, they stopped working, so there was a problem and they wanted to let their boss know about this problem. All costs. At all costs. He was trying to do it at all costs. He was trying to do it at all costs. So he was really trying to do it. And so maybe there were different problems or different things on his way that he was trying to do it at all costs. So it was really so important that he really wanted to do it and to finish doing it at all costs, no matter what was on his way. No matter what was on his way, okay? So out of breath. She was out of breath. Under no circumstances. Under no circumstances will I sign this document. So inversion. To a certain degree or to a certain extent, I believe him to a certain degree. On strike. The workers went on strike. At all costs. He was trying to do it at all costs, so no matter what was on his way. So in autumn, it usually rains a lot in autumn. It usually rains a lot in autumn, or when autumn comes. Brief, we say in brief. So in brief, it was a big success. So we talked about it. So in brief or in short or shortly. Okay, really, in brief it was a big success. Next, noon. We say at noon or at midday. So she got up at noon. Really, so late. So late, or at 12 o'clock. At 12 o'clock in the afternoon. At 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay, but we usually say at noon or at midday, yeah? Good, so good terms. We say on good terms or on bad terms. I'm on good terms with my neighbors. I'm on good terms with my neighbors. With my neighbors. It means we have good relations. We have good relations. Okay? I'm on good terms with my neighbors. We have good relations. Of stock. Out of stock. For example, these goods are out of stock. These goods are out of stock. So you can't buy it. You can't buy it, so they aren't available. They aren't available or not available, so you can't buy it. Okay, in autumn, it usually rains a lot in autumn. In brief, it was a big success. At noon, at midday, so she got up at noon, at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. So on good terms, on bad terms. I'm on good terms with my neighbors. So we have good relations. Out of stock. These goods are out of stock, so they aren't available. Addition to, say in addition to. So in addition to it, I'd like to add one thing. Or in addition to it, it can be a serious threat. It can be a serious threat. So I'd like to add. I'd like to add it. In addition to it, okay, it can be a serious threat, it can be a serious problem. So in winter, do you often go skiing in winter? Do you often go skiing in winter? A good mood. So we say in a good mood or in a bad mood. My friends, I'm in a good mood. I'm in a good mood, really. I want to smile. It means I feel happy. I feel happy, not well. I feel happy. Okay, sorry for my so awful typing skills. So I feel happy anyway. So because I feel that anyway this video is really useful. Okay, I'm in a good mood. I feel happy. Midnight. I say at midnight. I went to bed at midnight. I went to bed at midnight. Or at 12 o'clock. At 12 o'clock in the evening. At 12 o'clock in the evening. I went to bed at midnight. The end of. At the end of. So you'll hear at the end of the video. You'll hear it. You'll hear it at the end of the video. So we say in the end, in the beginning, but if we have of, we use at. So at the end of something, at the beginning of something. In addition to it, it can be a serious threat, so I'd like to add it. In winter, do you often go skiing in winter? In a good mood, in a bad mood. I'm in a good mood. I feel happy. So at midnight, I went to bed at midnight, so at 12 o'clock in the evening. Okay, at the end of, you'll hear it at the end of the video. Due course. So in due course, it's similar to anyway, in any case, or at any rate. So the main difference is that this phrase or this expression is more formal. So we'll discuss it in due course. We'll discuss it in due course. The whole, on the whole. So on the whole, these lessons are quite useful. These lessons are quite useful. So on the whole means in general. In general or generally. Generally, these videos are, or these lessons are quite useful. The phone, on the phone. So, do you often talk on the phone with your friends? Do you often talk on the phone with your friends? Or do you often talk on the phone? Vain. So, we say in vain, it means without success. Without success. Okay, so for example, I tried to pass the test, but it was in vain. I tried to pass the test, but it was in vain, or it was without success. Other words. In other words. Okay, I can say, in other words, I failed it. In other words, I failed it. Okay, so in due course, anyway, in any case, at any rate. We'll discuss it in due course. On the whole. On the whole, these lessons are quite useful. In general, generally. On the phone. Do you often talk on the phone with your friends? In vain. Without success. I tried to pass the test, but it was in vain. In other words, I failed it, really, what a pity. Of control. We say out of control. So we had that situation out of control. We had that situation out of control. So I couldn't control it anymore or any longer. University. At university. My brother is at university. My brother is at university. Search of. Right. So we say in search of, in search of. He was in search of his second half. He was in search of his second half. It means his future wife. His future wife. Okay? In search of. Vacation. So we say on vacation or on holiday. I was on vacation last week. I was on vacation last week. The way. Okay, say by the way. So, okay, I like English. I like English. Then I can continue. By the way, it is my main hobby. By the way, it isn't my main hobby. It means that, so we use this, expression when we want to change the subject or when we want to add something. By the way, so I like English, by the way, it isn't my main hobby. Out of control. We had that situation out of control. At university. My brother is at university. In search of. He was, right. He was in search of his second half. And you see that search is a noun here. But if it's a verb, we say search for or look for. You need to remember it. But if it's a noun, we say in search of. So it's another thing. So on vacation, on holiday. I was on vacation last week. By the way, I like English. By the way, it isn't my main hobby. Pension. On pension. So my mother is on pension. My mother is on pension. So in other words, she is a pensioner. She is a pensioner. My mother is on pension. Midday. We talked about it. Say at midday. Yeah, at midday. So it happened. It happened at midday, or it happened at noon. So in other words, it's at 12 o'clock. Accident. Okay, so we say by accident. I met my classmate there by accident. I met my classmate there by accident or accidentally. I wasn't going to meet him. Holiday. So we say on holiday or on vacation. When will you go on holiday? When will you go on holiday? Practice. So we say in practice. I doubt it works in practice. I doubt it works in practice, or it works in reality. I doubt, so I don't think that it really works. Okay? On pension. My mother is on pension. She is a pensioner. At midday. It happened at midday, at noon. By accident. I met my classmate there by accident. On holiday. When will you go on holiday? In practice. I doubt it works in practice. The top of. Let's say at the top of. So you can see it at the top of the page. You can see it at the top of the page. So risk. We say at risk, at stake. So his life was at risk. His life was at risk. So there was a very dangerous situation, so he risked his life. A cruise, on a cruise. So my friend is on a cruise. It's like on a trip, yeah, it's like on a journey. So he went somewhere by sea. School, at school. My sister is at school. My sister, okay, my sister is at school. My sister is at school. A regular basis. On a regular basis. If you really want to succeed in English, you need to learn it on a regular basis. If you really want to succeed in English, you need to learn it on a regular basis, or you need to learn it regularly, or if you want to be successful in English, okay? At the top of, you can see it at the top of the page. At risk. His life was at risk. On a cruise. My friend is on a cruise. At school. My sister is at school. On a regular basis. If you really want to succeed in English, you need to learn it on a regular basis. In detail. He explained it in detail. He explained it in detail. In detail means giving a lot of details. Given a lot of, or given lots of. Giving lots of details. The beginning, so we say in the beginning, so in the end, but at the beginning of something, at the end of something. So in the beginning, I'd like to thank you, my friends. In the beginning, I'd like to thank you, my friends. The help of, with the help of. Okay, so, for example, I learn English with the help of this channel. I learn English with the help of this channel. I learn English with the help of the channel. So we can say at the weekend or on the weekend. So it's also possible. Okay, let's meet at the weekend. Let's meet at the weekend. Theory. Say in theory. It works only in theory. It works only in theory, but not in practice. It works only in theory, but not in practice. In detail. He explained it in detail, so giving lots of details. In the beginning, in the end. So in the beginning, I'd like to thank you. Right, in the beginning, in the end. With the help of, I learn English with the help of this channel. On the weekend, let's meet at the weekend. In theory, so it works only in theory, but not in practice. So, bad terms. We talked about it, so on good terms or on bad terms. So, he is on bad terms with his neighbors. He is on bad terms with his neighbors. By chance, I met her by chance, or I met her accidentally. Fact. In fact. You might think it's right. In fact, it isn't so. You might think it's right, or it's the right decision. In fact, it isn't so, or in reality, it isn't so. A hurry. In a hurry. I'm in a hurry. I'm in a hurry. I have no time. I have no time, so I'm very busy. I'm in a hurry. The end. In the end. So I'll tell you something in the end. I'll tell you something in the end. I'll tell you something in the end. Okay? So on bad terms, he is on bad terms with his neighbors. By chance. I met her by chance. In fact, you might think it's the right decision. In fact, it isn't so. Or in reality. In a hurry. I'm in a hurry. I have no time. In the end. I'll tell you something in the end. So we say at the beginning of. So I met it at the beginning of the book. I met it at the beginning of the book. So we say at the beginning of, at the end of, a trip, on a trip. So I was on a business trip, or I was on a trip. I was on a trip. I was on a trip, so I was traveling. So somewhere. Love. In love. They are in love. They are in love. It means they love each other. They are in love, they love each other. The out of date. Out of date. So this information is out of date. Out of date, it means not relevant. Not relevant. So the modern situation is different, isn't good enough. So a lot has changed since that time, and we can't trust this information, we can't rely on it. Doubt. In doubt. So I'm in doubt. I'm in doubt. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. So it's difficult for me to take a decision at present or now. So at the beginning of, good. On a trip. I was on a trip. In love. They are in love. They love each other. Out of date. This information is out of date, so not relevant. In doubt. I'm in doubt. My surprise. So to my surprise. So it means that I was surprised, or I'm surprised. To my surprise, he won. So I was really surprised, or I'm really surprised. Foot. On foot. Do you go to work, or do you get to work on foot? Do you get to work on foot? So on foot means with your legs. With your legs. Reality. In reality. In reality. In reality. So the situation is completely different. The situation is completely different. So in situation or in our real life. In our real life. The situation is completely different. A bad mood. He is in a bad mood. He is in a bad mood. Don't disturb him. Don't disturb him. It means that he needs some time to calm down, or he needs some time to cool down. General. In general. In general, these lessons are very effective. We talked about it. In general, these lessons are very effective. Or generally, on the whole, these lessons are very effective. Okay, so to my surprise, he won. On foot. Do you get to work on foot? In reality, the situation is completely different. So in our real life, a bad mood. So we say in a bad mood, in a good mood. So he is in a bad mood. Don't disturb him. In general, these lessons are very effective. Okay, first sight. For example, I have a question for you. Do you believe in love at first sight? Love at first sight. When you see another person and you instantly like him or her. Average. On average. So on average, my grade was B. My grade was B. So it means that I have A's, I have B's, I have C's, but on average, so I mostly had B's, maybe A's and C's, but on average it was B. So if we calculate it, advance, in advance. Okay, my friends, thanks in advance. Thanks in advance. So I'd like to thank you in advance for everything. So in advance it means beforehand. Construction, under construction. So this website or this page is under construction. So it doesn't work. So there is a problem with this page, or there is a problem with this, website. Case, in any case, my friend, so learning English is difficult sometimes. In any case, continue and you'll do your best. Okay? Learning English is difficult. Learning English is difficult sometimes. So in any case, so in any situation, in any case, continue and do your best. And do your best means show the best results possible. Okay? At first sight. Do you believe in love at first sight? On average. On average, my grade was B. So A, B, C. So in advance, thanks in advance. Under construction. So this website is under construction. In any case, learning English is difficult sometimes. And in any case, so continue and do your best. And our life is also difficult sometimes. So in any case, try to be positive, try to be optimistic, and try to be in a good mood. So really, life goes on, as they say. Okay, my friends, thank you very much. I really hope that it was a fantastic idea to record this video course, 100 prepositional phrases with explanations, with examples, especially for you. I try to do my best, and I wish you good luck, my friends. Thank you. Bye.